Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. It is Friday. It is time to review box checkers and put out the new check down article. The new check down article is VIP only right now. If you want to become a VIP, obviously you follow dfsarmy.com. You jump in, you take a look at under the tools tab, our VIP membership, check our pricing, pick the one that matters to you. Use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, get a 20% discount off of the option that you choose, and let's rock and roll. Let's open this VIP article back up to you guys. The easiest way to, I guess, look at a slate when this article comes out is to take a look at who checks the boxes. And let's really quickly review last week and then maybe talk a little bit about this week. But to get the goods, you're going to have to get into the Army and be a VIP. I will throw this video in as the review portion of the check down for our VIPs that want to listen to it and take a look. It should be 10 to 12 minutes or so tops. At any rate, we looked last week at Dak Prescott as a 6-box checker. We looked at Carson Wentz as a 6-box checker, and Dak was as solid as they come, and that's what he did. He produced a solid line just like we thought he would. For the price, great. We looked at Carson Wentz. He was at home. He was favored. A lot of people gave me a lot of crap for that pick last week on our podcast, in our Slack forums, out on Twitter, whatever. And I got to say, suck it to all of you, because the dude was home. He's favored. He's a steady ball control type of quarterback. I didn't know where his weapons were going to come from, but at that price, he was very likely to hit value, and he freaking did. So put that in your crack pipe and smoke it, because when I call for a cash play and a guy being cash safe, he typically is. It's that simple. I am the chalk eater, and that's what I do. So those were the only two box checkers we had on a massive scale. Doesn't mean there weren't others that weren't going to perform, and I'll talk a little bit about running backs and we'll wrap this thing. But when it comes to quarterbacks, I warned you, Ben was not in a safe spot last week, because even though he checked 5 boxes, he got 2 freebies by being home and being favored. He was implied to score a lot of points, and his QBR typically is fairly high as an overall number, but he is facing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have 2 elite cornerbacks and snuff out wide receivers. So what the hell was he really going to be able to do? That was the question. So you can't blindly look at this box checking article and just run it out there. Everybody was chomping at the bit to get a piece of Ben and Brown and Bell and the Killer Bees and whatever else last week, and it backfired on you. It was predictable, though. Now, what was not predictable is the part we'll talk about with the running backs. The other 4-box checkers we warned you on too, Matt Stafford, Eli Manning. They outrank Aaron Rodgers, and that's just stupid. So it doesn't mean that the box checker article isn't good. It means you got to use your head a little bit too. It doesn't mean we were going to play Aaron Rodgers either. Aaron Rodgers was not home. He was not favored. He was going into Dallas. Yes, it was supposed to be a shootout, but you don't know how those are going to go. Those favor the home team, which is why it favored Dak. Yeah, there's almost a $2,000 savings involved, but it still favors the safety of overall hitting that maybe 20 points or so. It favors Dak. Aaron Rodgers had a hell of a day. Aaron Rodgers was a great GPP pivot off of a great scenario because it's Aaron Rodgers. He finds himself in another situation this week going into Minnesota. Minnesota has Xavier Rhodes. Minnesota has, they don't have a very good second cornerback from what I understand, but they've got one lockdown corner that's going to probably take Jordy Nelson and squelch him pretty good. Now, Jordy Nelson's Jordy Nelson. He's got 2 TD upside. Is he a GPP play? Sure. Is Aaron Rodgers a GPP play? Sure. But as a cash safe, low risk type of play, here's what I'm looking at 9,500 or 9,000, whatever the hell Aaron Rodgers' price is this week. I'm looking at a guy that needs to hit me somewhere around that 20, 25 point threshold again. Can he do it? He's going to struggle to get to that mark, most likely. 35 points, probably out of the question. Again, can it happen? Yes, happened last week. But will it happen? Most times, no, because he doesn't have all of the favors in his corner. So what we're trying to figure out is, do we want to take that long shot, or do we want to take a safer pick? In a lot of cases, I bail on the safer pick. If you're the guy that hangs his balls out there, go for it. But you run an Aaron Rodgers and a Jordy Nelson in there, and I promise you, you're going to be one of the few people in the world that has that combination. And it can win you a tournament. If Aaron throws for 3 touchdowns and whatnot, and 2 of them go to Jordy, you burn Xavier Rhodes, and you're good to go. And he probably doesn't even need a ton of yardage to do it. Get him 40 yards and 2 scores, and the dude's probably there. Fine. But I don't think the odds of that happening are very good. So even though Aaron Rodgers ranked underneath some of these other quarterbacks last week and still had the best week or the better week, great. It just wasn't going to happen often enough for us to bank on it in a cash type of contest. That's why we bailed and went to Dak and went to Carson Wentz, A for the safety, but B for the cheaper prices. It was easier for those guys to test their ceilings in those matchups with all of those categories favoring their matchups than it was for an Aaron Rodgers. So again, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers was a bad play. I'm saying you should have kept him to tournaments. This last week, I'll try and go quickly into the running backs because again, we had Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, Todd Gurley, etc., checking boxes, and they all kind of underperformed. Zeke and Gurley crapped the bed. Who blew up? Leonard Fournette. If you look at, listen to our podcasts, read our articles on DFSArmy.com, you're going to hear some things like these guys are cash safe. They're home. They're favored. They're going to get a lot of touches. They're getting the volume. They get some red zone work, some third down work. They've got decent matchups. They're favored in Vegas big time. So lock them in. Game flow favors Le'Veon Bell this week. Blah blah blah. Jacksonville was a funnel defense where you got a lot of the guys out on the outside squelching production. So they're going to have to give it to Le'Veon Bell. God forbid that they live up to their Vegas total and they're an 8 to 10 point favorite, and they get into the second half up a score or 10 points or something. And that was the script that was supposed to play out most times. And the Vegas experts and sharps agreed that that was what was going to happen most times. And when that happens, it favors Le'Veon Bell in a big, big way. However, that didn't happen because Ben started throwing picks to the Jacksonville Jaguars that were running them back for touchdowns. And the next thing you know, our main worry was Leonard Fournette. Is he going to get scripted out of this game? He isn't a pure passing down back, but he does catch a couple of passes, but he's not necessarily. So if he's the smash mouth 2 down back, with a little bit of pass catching ability, how much are they going to keep handing him the ball when they're down 2 scores and need to throw? At some point, they're going to need to throw it with Blake Bortles, and that was going to be what was going to suppress Leonard Fournette's production. But when that game got flipped on its head and the defensive scores went through the roof, Leonard Fournette all of a sudden got game flowed into the game, and his volume went through the roof as a result. So that happens. What are you going to do? Flipped on its head. That's why Fournette was a great GPP pick, because what we didn't know was if he would be game flowed out of the game. Past trends suggest that he was going to be game flowed out, but we don't know how committed or how serious Jacksonville is about, even when I'm down 40 points, am I going to just keep handing it to Leonard Fournette? We still don't know that. What we know is that when he is in a favorable situation, he's going to get all the work he can handle and then some, and that happened again last week on the road in an underdog situation. So again, those are great, talented workload type players to put into tournaments in case the game script does flip on its head. But it's not something you're going to rely on in cash, because most of the time that scenario should not pan out. Now, this is the type of stuff we talk about day in and day out inside the DFS Army. And if you want that type of advice and you want that type of discussion back and forth, you have found the right place. You need to come in. You need to check us out. You need to come up to the tools tab on dfsarmy.com, go to the VIP membership part, and take a look at our pricing and take a look at what option's best for you, and use code CHOP, C-H-O-P, to get your ass in here so that you can learn and not just hear the players' names, but hear why they're good players, and hear why they're tournament only, and hear why they're cash safe. Because a lot of people are just going to go run guys out there this week, then they won't understand the why behind it. They'll hear the name in the podcasts and in the industry touts articles saying this guy's a good play. Nobody tells you why or how safe he is, or if he's a top 3 play in all of our wide receivers, or if he's a top 20 play, or if he's a risky, sketchy guy. Some do a little bit of that, but nobody does it like we do. So if you're looking for that kind of content, you need to jump into the Army. I'll go over wide receivers and all that other stuff another time, tight ends, all that stuff. We've got a lot of options this week. Hopefully you've seen enough. You want to give us a try. You want to unlock the check down. You jump on in. You become a VIP today. Use that code CHOP. Follow the link in description in this tab, and we'll make it happen for you. Thanks, guys. We will talk to you in a couple days.